UFC 284 in less than 2 weeks. All right, so it is New Zealand time, 4 p.m. The main card kicks off Sunday, 12th of February, and it's over in Perth, Australia. So if you're in the States, it'll be like Saturday night as it usually would, because that's how the UFC does it. And if you're in Europe, wherever else, you just have to check your local time for this main card. So we have Islam Makhachev is defending his lightweight title, so he's making his first defense against Australia's own Alex Volkanovski. So Volkanovski is coming up from featherweight, where he's the current champ. So we all sort of know this. He's I think he's defended his title maybe 4 or 5 times. So yeah, he's coming up to challenge Islam Makhachev for his title and the number one pound for pound fighter in the world. That ranking is up for grabs as well. So yeah, it's uh, it's anyone's fight really. So I just wanted to get into it. This fight really excites me. Just because the styles make fights. It's a very intriguing fight. A lot of people have just written Volkanovski off pretty quickly, and I want to go into that a little bit. I mean, it could be a fair assumption. We don't know yet, but typically I don't like to write people off. It's not that simple. Like you've got number one versus number two pound for pound, and they're both champions. So it's going to be. I feel like it will be a competitive fight. So yeah, but let's just have a look at some stats here. All right, so we have Islam Makhachev is 5'10". This is according to ESPN MMA. He has a 70.5-inch reach, southpaw stance, 2.37 significant strikes landed per minute, significant strike accuracy 72.16. 3.42 takedowns on average, so he's a grappler. That's his thing. 65.85 takedown accuracy, so that actually interests me. I thought that would have been a little bit higher. Submissions on average 1.27. So Islam basically finishes his opponents either ground and pound or submission. That's his thing. He's not really a decision fighter. He's a finisher via ground and pound or submission. So we have Alex Volkanovski. So he's 5'6". So big discrepancy there. 4-inch reach, 4-inch height disadvantage. So he's coming up from 145 pounds. His arm reach is actually 71.5 inches. So he's actually got a longer reach than Islam Makhachev, which will be interesting, because I don't think Islam Makhachev will actually expect him to be able to get stung. But I think his reach is quite deceiving. He's an orthodox stance. Significant strikes landed per minute, 6.79. Very high. We all saw those fights against Max Holloway, Korean Zombie, all that. Like he is a very good striker. He hits and doesn't get hit. He's very good at blocking, moving, shifting, all that good stuff. Significant strike accuracy, 58.6%. So it's a little bit lower. However, if you look at the significant strikes landed per minute, far more. So takedowns on average 1.71. So he actually does shoot for quite a few takedowns, Volk. Takedown accuracy 36.51%, so not that great. Submissions on average 0.22%. He's not a submission fighter. I mean, he can, but that's not his thing. So Volkanovski is typically a decision sort of fighter. He'll get the stoppage if he completely outclasses his sort of opponent, like the Korean Zombie fight. So I'm going to try and stay as unbiased and impartial as I can on this one. Volk is probably my all-time favorite fighter. So he's just the way he carries himself, how respectful he is, his work ethic, just everything like that. I just love everything about Volkanovski. And I don't think it's the Australian-New Zealand connection. Like, I lived in Oz. I love it there. I love it here in New Zealand as well. But yeah, he's just like a stand-up good Aussie bloke. He's not cocky. He's not judgmental, anything like that. All the qualities that I like in athletes, Volk's got them. Doesn't look down on people. Doesn't look through people saying they're not this or they're not that, or And I've got to be honest. I'm a little bit disappointed in some of the Dagestanis lately. Like they're sort of just scoffing at other people, at their talents or stuff like that. And yeah, fair enough. You guys might be like way better. Um, Time will tell. But yeah, I don't know. Like when he started saying like to Volk, like where is this short guy? I don't know this short guy. It's like man, yeah, you sort of you don't want to be doing that too much, I don't think, especially against Volkanovski. You know, you're sort of counting him out. And it was already that attitude, like, oh, I'm just gonna run through him. So yeah, I don't know. To me, Volk is so on paper. Islam Makhachev has got this down all day. Islam Makhachev just dominates his opponents. He gets them down. His opponents quickly, they just can't keep up with him on the ground. They're either just trying to cover up and they can't get out or anything like that, and they succumb to a submission or ground and pound. Volk is a little bit different. This is where it gets interesting. Because on paper, yep, sure, he gets dominated just like everyone else. But you don't become the pound for pound number one fighter if you don't have a shitload of heart, grit, determination, strength, all that sort of stuff. And I think, and that you can't measure that on paper. It's not measured on these stats. And this is going to be Volk's best thing. So if I feel like if Volk his path to victory, and I think Faraz Zahabi mentioned it as well, like it's going to be a decision. It's going to be a decision. I can see him sort of knocking him out in the later rounds, but I honestly think it's pretty unlikely. Definitely no submission. I think, yeah, if Volk's going to get it done, he's going to outpoint him and get the decision win. I honestly I can't see anyone finishing in this fight. I can see Makhachev getting a submission, but I still think Makhachev's path to victory is going to be a decision as well, just by basically laying on him and fighting and not and Volk not being able to get up. But I don't think he finishes Volk, so that's going to be interesting. So let's just have a look at some stats here. So Volk's record is, let's have a look. So total 26 fights, 25 wins, 1 loss, and that came by knockout, and that was when he was fighting at welterweight. So there's a big difference between welterweight and lightweight. It's 15 pounds difference. So let's just have a look. His only loss was back in 2013. That was through the AFC, Australian Fight Championship. A guy called Corey Nelson so 10 years ago. Since then, he's racked up a shitload of impressive wins. He's beaten high-name guys like Chad Mendes, so he was a wrestler. So he ground and pounded him to a finish, I do believe. Jose Aldo, Max Holloway 3 times. Brian Ortega, we all saw that fight. Korean Zombie. And honestly, he just looks so sharp every time he hops in there. And we haven't seen him fight since July, and that was such an impressive. This is Volk we're talking about. That was such an impressive win against Max. It's just I don't think it's as clear cut as everyone's saying it is. So Islam Makhachev. So this is where it gets a little bit interesting because people have a lot of recency bias here. Before he defeated Charles Oliveira, people were saying, nah, he's not that great. He hasn't fought anyone high level and stuff. But to me, Charles Oliveira he went in with a pretty average game plan. But Oliveira was actually doing really well. He was threatening submissions. He wasn't getting dominated on the ground in the first round. He got punched, and then that was the takedown. He got punched by Makhachev, and then Makhachev went down, followed him, and locked up a head and arm choke straight away, which is going to be interesting because we've seen Volk get out of that position with Brian Ortega, who was a first-degree Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, and I know that there's a massive strength discrepancy there and size discrepancy, but if you look at these other fights, like Thiago Okay, yeah, he's beaten Bobby Green, Dan Hooker, and they were both first round stoppages. They didn't have a full camp or anything like that, but I still think that wouldn't have changed much. Maybe it just would have pushed the fight out further. Thiago Moises, Thiago Moises got to the fourth round. And if he can get to the fourth round, and that was 2021, so we're in start of 2023. Drew Dober made it to the third round. David Ramos made it to the third round. Arman Sarukin, I remember that one. That was a decision win to Makhachev, and that was his hardest test to date. And Saryukin, he's been beaten just recently by Matthias Gamrot. So I don't think that Makhachev is levels above all these other people, like his coach Javier Mendez is saying that they're just dominating. I think he's in for a bit of a rude awakening. I still think he likely wins the fight, but I think people are going to be very, very surprised at Volk's determination and his strength and his grit to just knuckle down and not. I think he's going to be a lot stronger than Makhachev is expecting, and I think that might throw him a little bit. And Volk's striking is right up there, and it's going to be super interesting, and I'm super pumped to check this one out, to be honest. It's going to be even more interesting because Khabib is not going to be in his corner. We know that. I know for the Oliveira fight, he was in. So Khabib, he was in his corner, so Khabib was able to coach him. Same with the Dan Hooker fight, and I think speaking in Russian, just having that there, I think that helps a lot. And I think Khabib is, he was on camera saying he was giving props to Volk, saying it's going to be his hardest fight, but he's like, whatever, we're going to smash this guy anyway. And he's probably thinking I don't need to be there. Islam's going to smash him anyway. But I think that's a huge disadvantage to Makhachev in this fight as well. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go Volk for the win, actually. And I think he gets it done by decision. 3 rounds to 2. That's my final prediction on this. So I'm going to put some money down on that. You can call me crazy. You can call me, deluded or whatever, or homeboy. But I don't know. I've made some pretty good bets before. I had a feeling that Oliveira was going to beat Dustin Poirier when everyone was like, nah. Dustin Poirier, he was all on for that one. And I also believed that Juliana Pena was going to beat Amanda Nunes. I could just sense some stuff going on behind the scenes, I don't know. And I think this is going to be, it's not going to be a shock upset or anything like that, but because it's not, you can't have that with Volk. There's no way it can be an upset. But I think Volk's going to take this one out. 3 rounds to 2 decision. So let's just have a look. So I think it's Makhachev is paying minus 380. Volk is paying plus 300. So it's I'm not sure about that one, So I don't know what it started out as, but people, how the betting stuff works. People will bet one way and then it turns the results that way. So everyone is right because they're betting on the paper, on the facts on paper. But I just don't think this is going to come down. Lots of things look good on paper, but a lot of things don't work on paper. I don't know. So what's that in New Zealand odds? So Makhachev is paying $1.24. Volk is paying $3.95. So I'm definitely putting some money on Volk at that price. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. But don't be a dick. I could be wrong. Who knows? Anything like that. These are just my opinions. These are just my thoughts. And that's my final prediction. Volk by decision win, 3 rounds to 2, and new lightweight and pound for pound fighter of the world. All right, we'll see how we go. Deal.